Hello, everyone, and welcome to Let's Talk Seahawks, the podcast for fans like you. I'm your host, Robert Smith, along with my co-host, Adam Stellman. Today, we will be doing a day of preview of our Week 15 game against the Philadelphia Eagles. Adam, let's talk Seahawks.
Yeah, we got to push this one down. We decided that with a Monday night game, we would go live as late as possible to see how many updates we could get about questionable players, as the injury report has taken some time to come out. Still waiting to hear who is and isn't going to be active for the Seahawks. We'll get to the injury report in a sec, but there are a few people, I think 5 listed as questionable. And I'll obviously cover the Eagles injury report as well. But yeah, this is a new experience for us. So hopefully we got a few people joining us, and you guys are enjoying this stream as well. This is a must-win, in my opinion. It's a must-win for a lot of reasons, not just because the Seahawks' playoff hopes are slowly fizzling out. And if we lose this one, it's I think less than 30% chance that we make the playoffs, even if we win out the last 3 games. So we need this one. This is at home. It's been a while since we've been in front of the 12s. It's been even longer, I think, since we've had a win in front of the 12s. So it would be great to get this one at home today.
Yeah, 100%. And just to touch on that, if you look at our last 4 games, this game included in that, if we go 4-0, then the Seahawks should, barring some miraculous outcomes in other games, make the playoffs as a wild card team.
That's like a 92% chance, I think, yeah.
Yeah, when I ran the numbers yesterday, I believe it was greater than 99%. But
oh, wow,
that may have been before all of yesterday's outcomes were tallied into the equation. So still a good chance if we go 4-0. If we go 4-1, which means we could lose this game against the Eagles, then our chances are between 40 and 60% if we go 3-1. If we go 2-2, and one of the games that we lose cannot be against the Cardinals, so if we go 2-2, then our chances are less than 5%. So really, it's make or break, and that was basically my entire final thoughts. So I'm just going to leave. And
cool, good episode.
Adam set me up for that one. All right, it is do or die. It is make or break, whatever colloquialism you want to put in there. We have to start winning. We have to start winning now, or they need to start planning for the future and get a better draft pick, which you don't want to hear when there's still 4 games left in the season. So let's get out there. Let's take care of business, and let's take it to the Eagles. We do have some news that kind of went around. First thing, and this directly affects us in this game, is that the Eagles went out and they demoted former Seahawks assistant coach, defensive coordinator Sean Desai. They took away his play calling duties, something that we have advocated for happening to some of the play callers here on the Seahawks staff.
One of the play callers here on the Seahawks
One of the, yes. It's one in particular, one whose name I shall not say until probably later in the podcast. And instead, former Lions head coach and longtime New England defensive coordinator Matt Patricia, who was on the defensive staff there in Philadelphia, will take over play calling duties for the defense. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? It sort of leaves it open. They have different styles. Sean Desai comes from the Vic Fangio defensive tree, which I really hate. In fact, I would love playing against that. So I wish Sean Desai was calling plays, because I would love to eat up some of those soft zones that we're used to seeing from a Fangio-influenced defense. Matt Patricia is more of a multiple front, bring pressure certain areas, make you think along the line. Now, they're not installing a new defense. It's just him as a play caller. He might call plays that lead towards more pressure, that play a little more man in order to kind of limit those soft zones. So we'll have to see what we get. Once again, we don't have film on Matt Patricia calling this Eagles defense. So I don't know how the offensive staff is going to plan for that. Not that our offensive coaching staff likes to stick to the plans that they make. So it might just be a moot point.
Or a moot point, as Joey from Friends would say. And that's our dating ourselves for the episode. Congratulations.
All right. Another news item. Once again, I don't like mid-season coach firings. At least this one was towards the end of the season. But the Los Angeles Chargers, see, I almost said San Diego, once again, showing how old I am. The LA Chargers fired their head coach and GM after a very poor performance, allowing 63 points, a franchise record 63 points to the Las Vegas Raiders. Not something you want to see. All right. Oh, one last note, and that's just because this fan base and I tend to not get along too well. So the New York Jets have been officially eliminated from the playoffs for probably, the 20th consecutive year. They have the longest active playoff drought streak in all of North American sports. So not just the NFL, but all of North American sports. Just showing the Jets that they are a stellar franchise once again.
I think that there is a Seattle connection there because the former holder of that ignominious distinction was our very own Seattle Mariners up until last year. So
that's right. Thank you for taking that baton. We'll go ahead and pass that one right to you, New York. But speaking of the New York Jets, this is a topic we did not get a chance to talk about here on the podcast. And so, Adam, I would like to hear your thoughts on Jamal Adams' beef with the New York sports reporter and their Twitter battle that followed.
Give me a recap because I think I missed most of it because I thought it's just Prez doing his thing.
Well, I'll just roll with.
Give us a recap for you know what I should have done? I shouldn't have admitted that I was weak on it. I should have said, why don't you give us a recap for those out there listening on the
podcast? All right. So this reporter, I don't have this individual's name handy because that's how much I respect them. But they are a reporter, cover primarily the Jets. And this individual and Jamal Adams have had issues since Jamal Adams got to the Jets. He criticized him basically from their draft selection, and then every little thing negative he wrote about Jamal Adams while he was there. They had verbal back and forth. It has not been a good relationship. So Jamal Adams leaves, right? Gets traded to Seattle, 4 years ago? And this reporter continues to highlight issues with Jamal Adams. Anytime there's something, he writes about it as though he were an active Jets player.
Well, he's had a lot of fodder this year then.
Yeah, well, and you can kind of see the side of the argument I'm leaning on as far as just the beef in general. Here comes the issue. The issue is earlier, and this was a couple weeks ago, this reporter posted something about Jamal Adams. It was him, I want to say it was after the Dallas game. I'm probably wrong. Somebody can correct us in the comments if you'd like, where it was a replay of Jamal Adams giving up that game-winning touchdown to the tight end there in Dallas.
Dalton Schultz.
Horrible.
No, it was Schultz. The other guy.
Schultz is in
the rookie.
Houston right now.
The rookie. Right. Sorry, it was the rookie.
Yeah.
Whatever. Ferguson.
Yeah. And the only caption on there that he put, he had the video and then was just yikes. Right? Now, that was a horrible play. Jamal Adams really dropped the ball on that one, so to speak. Yes. Well, Jamal Adams responded. And this is one of those take the high road kind of moments. But Jamal Adams responded. He definitely did not take the high road.
Shocking.
In fact, he made a comment, a statement about taking the high road, which I will say here in a minute. But he posted a picture on Twitter of this reporter and this reporter's significant other, like nice little couple shot, with the comment, "Yikes!"
Thanks. Yeah.
And when asked about this, Jamal Adams basically said, and I'm paraphrasing, that when others go low, he'll go lower.
Well, I mean, in
So,
football, that's the right way to go. So,
well, yeah,
uh,
and we see that when he got knocked unconscious there against the Giants in his first game back.
right.
That was a joke. He didn't have his head up. Poor tackling technique. We went over this weeks
Which
ago,
we've seen all year from the Seahawks.
which
So
we have.
the trend continues.
So, what are your thoughts on this whole thing? You could take it in different sections. You can take it in the beef with the reporter, and then move it on to this particular incident, and then move on to his particular comments.
Okay. Well, so I'll start. I'll start here. I'll make it personal real quick. I lived in the Big Apple for several years now. To be clear, neither of the New York football teams reside in New York. They both reside in New Jersey. Why the NFL hasn't made that fix, I don't know. I mean, we could, which is why going back to your, San Diego / Los Angeles Chargers thing, they're forever going to be the San Diego Chargers to me. I don't care what city they're in. Just like the Oakland Raiders will always be the Oakland Raiders, no matter where they reside. Apparently the NFL doesn't have a problem with it, so we shouldn't either. It doesn't matter what city you're in. So I'm familiar with what it's like to be in New York, and I'm familiar with how the people of New York treat their sports stars or former sports stars in this case. Jamal Adams has always been a pretty vocal guy, so I don't have any issue with anyone, especially in the media, trash talking Jamal Adams on social media because he is always good at dishing it out. If you dish it out, you need to learn how to take it. I'm not saying Jamal Adams doesn't know how to take it. He certainly can dish it out, and it doesn't seem like he cares when people do it. He's always willing to throw it back at them. I don't know what his personal thoughts on that are. Maybe he was upset by the yikes. I don't know. If he's upset by it, then he needs to fix his technique because that was a terrible play, and we've seen more of those this year from Jamal Adams than I think we've had a chance to see from him at any point during his career, especially here in Seattle. So my only thing would be if Jamal doesn't want videos like that going up on social media, don't supply them with videos like that to go up on social media.
All right.
As far as attacking someone's significant other, that's a pretty low blow. It's a pretty common one. It's obviously insanely petty. It's not where I would have gone with it. So yeah, I mean, I guess Jamal. I mean, if I was Jamal, I would have found some hot takes in the reporter's past that aren't so hot because we know those are aplenty in anyone's media career. I would have certainly gone for that as opposed to let's criticize the looks of the man's significant other. So yeah, pretty poor play from Jamal Adams, which is pretty par for the course this year from Jamal Adams, whether it's on the field or on social media. So that's what I have to say.
All right. So you kind of went along the lines that we've been hearing from most people. I'm gonna break it down. I'm gonna go to those 3 individual incidents. First of all, that reporter has, in my mind, journalistically crossed the line several times when reporting about Jamal Adams. Now, doesn't mean what he was reporting was not accurate. It was not within the scope of what he reports. So he doesn't need to go out of his way to point out an issue with a player 3,000 miles away from the team that he has, who currently has the longest playoff drought in North American sports. There's plenty he can report on his own team about. So when Jamal Adams was with the Jets, sure, all that stuff was probably fair game. It was about a current player. Fine. But now that Jamal Adams is no longer there, it's not relevant and should probably not be reported by that reporter. And the next step of that was what the reporter posted. Jamal Adams, horrible play, allowed the touchdown, which ended up being the game winner. He went low because he likes to cross that line.
If only he would use that technique on the field.
Yep. A former player who made a bad play, he responded to it. Honestly, I don't have a problem with that. outside of I have a problem with his continued issues with Jamal Adams. That's one thing. And probably not the most socially conscious post to be a reporter, to have that professional setting, and then only put the comment of yikes.
Fair.
Because that itself is an attack, right? There's no reporting going on there. So I have a problem with it from that standpoint. Jamal Adams, his response, which has now been deleted, right? You can probably find this tweet in screenshots people took, but it has since been deleted from Twitter.
Nothing ever gets deleted on the internet. Just in case there's anyone still out there that doesn't know that, if you put it up online, it will be out there forever.
Yes. So my problem with his response, I don't have a problem that he responded. Right? This individual has been asking for a response the entire time they've had their relationship. What Jamal Adams should have said, if he wanted to post that picture, I do not condone any attacks against a significant other, because they're not
any family. You shouldn't be. Yeah,
any
no one's
person
mom,
not
no one's
involved.
dad. Yeah, don't bring outside people in on it. That's
right.
petty.
I feel that way about politics. I feel that way about basically any public comment.
I'm right there with you.
He could have still put that picture up and then said yikes in quotes, right? To basically call back to his, and then had the next line say, she has to wake up next to that.
Ooh, there you go.
So he could have still gone personal, but not personal the way he did it.
Yeah.
Still low, still
petty,
sticking with his petty, I'm going to go lower attitude, which I do not agree with. I just happen to be good at thinking of that kind of stuff. But took you a minute.
It did. A little slow on the uptake today.
So that's something that I'm sure has been addressed. I mean, it's out there, it's deleted it. I'm sure he had a couple one-on-one meetings with team and league personnel about social media conduct. I just want to get your take. Like I said, we had not touched on this issue, and it's a pretty hot button issue, but most people who are reporting on it are official media members or have been in the past. And so they're hard line supporting the Jets reporter and condemning Jamal Adams. And what I say is I support Jamal Adams' ability to respond. I don't support the way he responded, and I don't support the actions of that reporter in essentially instigating the entire incident and the way he's handled Jamal Adams in the past. So that's my take on it. It's old. It's about a week old news, but figured we'd still get to it. Yeah. Any last thoughts on that issue real quick, Adam?
No, but we may have a guest on the pod. There he is. Thank you, Mr. Big. This is my girl's cat, who is currently wandering on the desk because I don't know, because he hates me. So anyway, Mr. Big's take on that was
exactly. All right. So moving on, transactions. This one kind of pains me a little bit. I definitely feel bad because I really like this player, but I have to say congratulations to him for getting a shot to be on an active roster. And that is that the Arizona Cardinals poached edge defender Tyreek Smith off of the Seahawks practice squad. Small connection. My mother-in-law and Tyreek Smith's mother are friends. So I've been following him since he was at Ohio State. Really stoked when the Seahawks were able to get him. And I loved all the positive news that was coming out of training camp about him. And I was hoping he'd have a shot to be on the 53-man roster this year. That didn't happen. And he is now an Arizona Cardinal, which they like to take Seattle players. Joey Blount has been a standout for them since Seattle cut him earlier this year. It's just the way that works. The Seahawks went out and signed defensive end Emilcar Rashid to replace him. He's bounced around a few teams. He did get a sack against the Seahawks in a preseason game a couple years ago. So there is some talent there. And then because we're doing this so late, the Seahawks have elevated from the practice squad quarterback Sean Mannion. I don't know what that says about Geno's chances to start. And safety Ty Okada from the practice squad. So those are the transactions for this week.
Yeah. I mean, look, we kind of saw this coming. Geno's been dealing with that groin injury. Obviously with Jamal Adams questionable for the game. I know we haven't gotten to the injury report. Sorry to spoiler alert for those of you that are tuning in. But both of these elevations make total sense. Hopefully neither guy has to see too much time on the field, because that would mean that our quarterback situation is at least stable, whether that be Geno Smith or Drew Lock starting. And then as far as the safety goes, I expect Okuda to probably get a couple of special teams reps. And hopefully that means that, that may mean that Jamal Adams is out for the game, and we'll see a little bit more of Kobe Bryant, which, of course, as anyone who's ever listened to this podcast knows, or at least this year knows, or last year, actually, anybody who's ever listened to this podcast should know I'm a big fan of Kobe Bryant. And I'd love to see him get a few more shots out there, even if that's at the expense of our former All-Pro, highest paid defensive player, who we were just talking about.
Yep. Well, since you brought up the injury report, let's just go into it. So the Seahawks had several players throughout this week on their injury report. Guys who were limited, maybe getting some veteran rest. But the final game status injury report only held players at questionable. The one of note is quarterback Geno Smith. They've been saying it'll be a game time decision. It'll be a game time decision again. Honestly, we're getting news that it's unlikely he'll play, and that really hurts our chances to beat this talented Eagles team and this stacked defensive group that they have there in Philadelphia. Also, safety Jamal Adams, linebacker Nick Bellore, wide receiver D. Eskridge, and standout rookie corner Devin Witherspoon are all questionable as well. Hopefully, we're getting indicators that Witherspoon will play, which will be good considering they have some really stellar wide receivers there with the Eagles. So fingers crossed. Hopefully Witherspoon plays. If Adams, Bellore, and Eskridge don't play, I don't think it'll hurt the team too much. In fact, without Adams on the field, we may actually be more efficient on defense. Just looking at the way, hey, he had a sub 30 PFF grade for the game against 49ers. I mean, he was the lowest graded player on the Seahawks defense for that game. Listen, he deserves what he's getting when it comes to this. He needs to find some way to get right.
You get no argument out of me. Like I said, I would be perfectly fine with Jamal Adams taking a seat and Kobe Bryant getting some more snaps out there. I've been waiting to see him get a starting shot this year. I was hoping it was going to be an outside corner, but I will take a starting shot at safety if that's what it has to be. The Eagles also have a pretty extensive injury report. They have 3 guys listed as out. That's inside linebacker Zach Cunningham, guard Cam Jurgens, and quarterback Darius Slay, who underwent arthroscopic knee surgery earlier this week. They have we've already heard that Jalen Hurts is active for the game and will play. He was listed as questionable. There is one other guy of note, and that's Josh Sweat. He did travel with the team, but he did not participate all week for personal reasons. So I don't have a status for him, but knowing that he traveled with the team means he's probably likely to play.
Yeah, that's how I would read those tea leaves. And who knows, it could be something personal. Maybe he just had a child or something like that, and they're giving him some extra time to settle in. Or mom sick. Like, it could be any number of things that those personal reasons can be. So hopefully, whatever that is, hopefully it's a happy personal reason, like a baby, and not a sad one, like somebody sick. All right. Let's take all that information, those transactions, the injury designations, the news we have coming in, and let's take all of that and wrap around what we think the 5 keys for success for the Seahawks are for this game.
Great news. Just got an update from Bleacher Report. I'm sorry to bust in here, Robin. We do have breaking news.
Oh, you're good.
Geno Smith is active and will play.
Outstanding. All right.
Love to hear it.
Sean Mannion is still activated, which means they
Yes.
do have a third quarterback in case they need to.
Which I'm totally fine
but
with.
I am totally fine with Drew Lock holding a clipboard. I think he looks great doing it, and that's what needs to happen during this game. So offensive line, let's keep Geno Smith upright and give him plenty of time to make passes and do what he needs to do. All right. I'm not sure that might change some of the things I say during our 5 keys. It doesn't change our 5 keys, though.
No, it doesn't.
So our first one is Defensive Rookie of the Year battle. Okay, this isn't really a key for the Seahawks as a team, but we're going to see Devin Witherspoon, and we're going to see Jalen Carter on the same field, right? Now they're on different units. Not going to see them on the field together, but we will get to see them both in this game. So who's going to shine, right? We know Devin Witherspoon should be active. We've been getting news about that. This is the battle for that award, and I want to see Devin Witherspoon come out on top. So my success metric for this is 100% up to me, and it's who do I think did better in this game. So I'll give you that on the recap episode, who I think won this Defensive Rookie of the Year battle.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can throw some statistics out there for it. I mean, look, if Devin Witherspoon has a good game, he was listed on the injury report, so we're still got to see whether or not he's going to be. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's out there. It said that he was starting, but hopefully he gets.
For those of you in the audio world, that was the cat once again walking in front of Adam's camera.
Just doesn't want to leave me alone today. So I'll say this. If Devin Witherspoon has more sacks than Jalen Carter, I say that's a win for Devin Witherspoon. We know that he's been used heavily on corner blitzes or slot blitzes this year. Hopefully we get to see at least 1 or 2 of those from him, and hopefully he gets home. Whereas Jalen Carter has been used almost primarily in blitz packages for the Eagles. He is rotating in there. He's not a starter technically on the defensive line, but has come in relief and especially in blitz situations. So I want to see more sacks or QB hits or hurries from Devin Witherspoon than we see from Jalen Carter. That will be my metric for whether or not the Seahawks take this battle.
All right, look at that, Adam whipping out some statistics. I thought he was allergic to those, but
I am. I've got hives right now.
Exactly. All right, our second key to success is make them throw for it. Right? If you look at how the teams have done this year, the Eagles ranked 9th in team rushing, so yards per game, and they ranked 14th in passing yards per game. Honestly, they've done pretty well, but I'd rather go against our talented secondary because our run defense has been not great this year and not as bad as last year. But because we had a really good stretch of run defense there at the beginning of the year, it's skewing the results. We are giving up a ton of yards on the ground, and we need to rein that in because the running game not only hurts you because it keeps your defense on the field, but it drains the clock. And we need to find a way to stop the run. So right there, you got to make them throw for it. We have to shift their focus to the pass game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, look, Jalen Hurts is dangerous, not just because he's a good quarterback. I mean, the man can definitely stand in the pocket and throw it. He's got 2 excellent wide receivers, and he has been pretty proficient when it comes to passing yards and passing touchdowns this year. But what makes Jalen Hurts dangerous is Jalen Hurts can hurt you in multiple ways. One of those ways being on the ground. We're going to get to one of those plays later in this podcast, but everyone knows the Eagles love to have design run plays for their quarterback. He's an elite runner at the position. He's right up there with guys like why am I spacing on Lamar Jackson's name? Justin Fields, and of course the guy in Buffalo, Josh Allen. So he is in the conversation for the best dual threat quarterbacks in the league right now. So we need to take away that part of the game. The other thing, obviously, is also limiting their running backs. I don't know Rashad Penny's status for this game. He hasn't really been active for most of the year, but I do know that they have a pretty decent running back room there. And they have been able to run the ball in multiple ways this year. So yeah, I would love to see the Seahawks hold them to under 100 team yards rushing.
Yes, which is actually the metric that I set out for this game is less than 100 yards rushing. Now, that leads right into our third key to success, which is you run to win, right? We need to limit them in the run game, but we need to stick to the run game ourselves for all of the things I mentioned earlier, right? It'll keep your defense fresh because it will keep your offense with the ball, time of possession. It moves the chains. It gets first downs. You run the ball. Running the ball is a fundamental part of football. And the Seahawks have not been great at it. Adam has a stat. I'll let him put that out. But my metric here for our third key to success is that we need to have over 100 team rush yards in this game. We can split between Walker and Charbonnet. That's fine. I'd love to see some other guys get a touch or two just to mix it up so that it keeps the defense guessing. But over 100 team rushing yards.
Yeah, Rob is just giving me the stats here. This is great. The stat that I'm going to throw out there is this year, the Seahawks have not lost a game when they've had over 100 yards rushing as a team. We haven't obviously had a bunch of games where that's been the case. I think out of our 6 wins, 5 of or maybe even 4 of those we have been cases where we've had 100+ team rushing yards. But every loss we've sustained this year, we've had less than 100 yards rushing as a team. We have not lost and we've had more than 100 rushing yards as a team or 100+ rushing yards as a team. So we need to hit that mark. I'm not saying it's a must to win the game because we have at least one game this year where we run for less than 100 yards. But with this team, this explosive Eagles offense, the idea is to keep them off the field as long as possible. And the way you do that is to run the ball. Like we just mentioned, limiting them means that limiting their rushing yards means we will limit the time our defense is out there and give our offense more opportunities. That needs to be what happens in this game. We need to give K9 as many chances as we possibly can because we know it's only a matter of time before he breaks one big. I'd love to see us get Charbonnet 10+ touches in this game because we know when it's late and you can run the ball effectively, that's how you win games. The man is a bruiser. Give him shots, especially against a worn-out defense, and he's going to break one. So, yeah, I'd love to see it. Hopefully, most of those runs are design runs to the running backs and not Geno Smith scrambling for his life. But yeah, look, if we want to give Geno a couple, look, I mean, he's got a groin injury, so maybe not a great idea to try and get him running there. But if Geno has to add a few rushing yards to the total, I'm okay with that. But let's make sure that we have plenty of design rushes.
I agree. In fact, I would love to see 15 rushes for Walker and more than 10 rushes for Charbonnet. Let's just go 25+ to the running backs.
Love it.
All right. Our fourth key to success is no extra chances. This comes in a multitude of ways, right? No extra chances means clean special teams, right? No missed field goals, no blocked punts, nothing like that, right? No extra chances means limit the turnovers on offense, as well as converting if you choose to be aggressive and go for it on 4th down. So of all of those things I just said, I want to limit them to fewer than 2. Right? That's probably going to end up being a turnover on offense, but that's fine. We can give them 1, but we don't want any of those other extra chances given to the Eagles. They're a great team. They can capitalize. I know they're kind of in a downward slide, but they're looking to get right, just like the Seahawks are fighting for their life this season.
Yeah, look, I mean, the Eagles have held the first seed in the NFC for most of the season. They are the reigning NFC champions. They are looking to get back in the hunt for that the sole bye week that's available to playoff teams this year. And they need to win a couple games, and San Francisco has to drop a couple for them to do it. They're also, I believe, behind the Cowboys currently. They're their own NFC East rivals. So the Eagles are going to be hungry this game. This is in no way a gimme for the Seahawks. The Eagles want to win this game. They don't need it, but they definitely want it. The thing that's really hurt Seattle in close games this season has been late game turnovers, especially in the fourth quarter, whether it's come from Geno or Drew Lock. That seems to be what really hurts this team. When we give it up late, we tend to lose those games. We saw it in the Dallas game. We saw it, unfortunately, in the San Francisco game just last week. It may not have been the closest game, but we still had a shot in that fourth quarter. And those two giveaways are really what sealed the deal for us. So we need to make sure that there are no turnovers off. I know you said we can give them one. Hopefully that give is maybe a go for it on fourth in their territory, and we give the ball back close to midfield. I'd much prefer that than a turnover. It's much more of a morale killer to turn the ball over on offense than it is to go for it and not get there. So I'm okay with that. If we want to go for it on fourth down, we may need to in this game. And if we do, I'd love to see us take a play out of Philly's book for that.
All right. Our fifth key to success is no brotherly shove. All right. We've heard it all season, right? This rugby style scrum, push forward for a yard or two. The Eagles are just living on this play, right? The brotherly shove, the tush push, whatever you want to call it. What I call it is a very highly successful play. They're running this play at a greater than 90% success rate this season. And you got to find a way to stop it. And the thing is, there are rules that limit the defense from being able to stop it. Because you'd think, well, how do they stop this in rugby? Well, when one side is all locked up in the scrum, the other side is also locked up and has extra people pushing. But defensive rules in football, you cannot on defense have a player assisting as you push through an offensive player. It was designed for special teams, basically on field goal blocks where you can get guys out of the way by having multiple players in line pushing. And then that second player is able to step into that created gap to be right there in line to block the field goal. But it technically is just in football altogether. And so that stops the defense from being able to stack up their own scrum side.
It's called the brotherly shove or the tush push. I think in Philly, it's almost exclusively the brotherly shove because obviously that's the city of brotherly love. They coined that phrase. I think it's a great play. This is the best for gridiron football. I love to see scrums. The thing that kills me is we keep limiting these plays. And they always cite player safety. No one has been injured on a brotherly shove this year. No one. If they just want to try and legislate this out, and they're gonna cite player health for it, they're full of crap, like they are most of the times when they cite player health, because we know in reality the NFL does not give a rat's about the player's health. It's all about money. Go ahead.
I want to say there was one player who was injured. But it was a different team doing this play, and they did it wrong. So
sorry. When it's done correctly, there hasn't been anybody injured. No one in Philly has been injured by this. No one going against Philly has been injured by this. It's a great play. Like I said, I'd love to see if the Seahawks are going to go for it on 4th and 1. I say we give them the tush push. We do it. See if we can be successful, because it's an amazing play. This is exactly how the game is supposed to be played in the trenches. Yes, it would be really great if the NFL wanted to say, when you're lined up in this position, which is basically the kneel down position. It's a very similar look where you've got two guys behind or three guys, I think, behind the quarterback, ready to help push forward in there in those close sets. I think in the case of that look, there should be allowed for the defense to realign. And if they want to legislate that, that's great. Let's say that the defense can check into a different alignment then, but I don't want to see this taken out of the game. As a matter of fact, I want to see more of it.
Yeah. Well, the defense can always realign. What they would need to do is allow defensive player assist so that they can assist the push. So those are our 5 keys to success. If I'm going to put a metric on that last one, and you heard it, Adam thinks Seahawks need to tush, push, love the Eagles, then let's see it happen. But what I don't want to see is the Eagles being successful against the Seahawks with this play. I'm going to say fewer than 3 successful brotherly shoves in this game. That's my metric for success on this particular key. Now we're looking at this matchup. We know the Eagles are talented. We know the Seahawks have individual talent, though we've had some underperforming position groups as a whole on this team. Let's look at how these two groups match up from a position group standpoint. Adam, how do you see these quarterbacks?
Look, I love Gino. He was a renaissance man last year. Really opened everyone's eyes that second chances should be given to players like him or any player for that matter. This season has been a little bit of a different story. Gino has really struggled. Yes, there's been moments where we've seen the brilliance that we saw last year, but there's been quite a bit of other moments where we've just seen some head scratching plays, like I mentioned, those late game turnovers. I need Gino to, now that he's had a time to sit back and kind of reassess with that injury and being out last week and having to watch this game from the bench. I hope he's reassessed, take a look at himself. But if I'm just going one-on-one with how the year has gone so far, I've got to give this matchup to Jalen Hurts. Like I said, he is one of those premier dual threat quarterbacks. And even with him being sick, I still think a sick Jalen Hurts is probably better than an injured Geno Smith.
Yeah, this was tough because leading up to this game, Jalen Hurts had an illness and stayed away from the team. In fact, he traveled to Seattle separately from the team to make sure he didn't get anybody else sick. So there was a chance he was not going to be able to play, and then Marcus Mariota would be there instead. And then we have Geno Smith being questionable and limited in practice all week long. Is it going to be Drew Lock? Is it going to be Geno Smith? Well, Adam just broke that Geno Smith will suit up and should play. We heard shortly before starting this stream that Jalen Hurts was going to play for the Eagles. I have the Eagles winning this matchup. I probably would have the Eagles winning this matchup regardless. It's just the injuries sort of threw in the mix. I actually like Mariota from a game management standpoint more than I like Drew Lock, because Drew Lock tends to try to be a gunslinger, take that Brett Favre approach. Just he's not quite there talent-wise to be able to do what he wants to do and take the chances that he does. So I would have given the matchup backup to Philly as well, but starter matchup, I go to Philly as well. So I'm going to go Philly quarterbacks. How about the running back room?
This one was a tough one for me. I really wanted to give this one to the Seahawks because I love our running back room. I really do, but I haven't seen it from them this year. Whereas even though I think we have a better running back room from a talent standpoint than the Eagles, I've seen what the Eagles have been able to do with this year with their running back room. I'm going to go ahead and give this one a push because I think that talent-wise, the Seahawks are a more talented team in that running back room, but we haven't seen it like we've seen it from the Philadelphia running back room. I'd love if they change. They prove me wrong in this game. I'd love to see a breakout game for Zach Charbonnet. We haven't really seen that yet from him, even though he's gotten some starting chances. But I'm hoping with some late shots, if we can sustain that running game late, that Zach Charbonnet is going to have an eye-opening game.
All right. I did go with the Seahawks running backs. I took true talent up and down the depth chart over past performance, and I'm hoping that they prove me right and not wrong here. Philadelphia has great running backs. I'm not going to say great. Philadelphia has good running backs. Mm-hmm. Guys who can get it done.
Highly drafted running backs for sure.
Yeah, in all phases of the game. In fact, one of those highly drafted by the Seahawks in Rashad Penny, and we don't even know if he's going to be active. They have not used him much this year. And in fact, he has been a healthy scratch in a couple games. So hopefully, if the Seahawks are not in the playoffs, then Rashad Penny, hopefully he gets a chance and is able to be impactful for that team as they make this run. But as far as the matchups go, I think the talent of Walker, the talent of Charbonnet overcome the talent that's there on the Eagles. And once again, DJ Dallas is kind of a Swiss Army knife that they can put in different situations. And then we haven't really seen him yet, but Kenny McIntosh is a tailor-made third down back in the NFL. Hopefully they find a way to utilize him properly and get him installed in this offense. So I'm going to go with the Seahawks at running back. How about wide receivers?
This is another one where it's difficult for me. I would really love to give it to the Seahawks because I think, again, if you just want to go from a pure talent standpoint, I do think we have an edge here. But the Eagles wide receivers have been lights out at times this season. It's been like almost every other week that AJ Brown has a game like DK had in Dallas. Even though Devontae Smith, I feel, has been underutilized this season by the Eagles, we still know what that man can do. He's a dangerous, dangerous deep threat in this league. The man's as shifty as can be. And I apologize, I'm spacing on their other receivers right now, but we've got JSN, we've got Tyler Lockett, as well as DK. I do think talent-wise, we've got a slight edge here, but I'm gonna have to give it to the Eagles again, mainly just because they've been more consistent this year. They're very talented, and they've shown that they can be impactful week in and week out, and we haven't seen that from the Seahawks wide receivers yet.
All right, so you broke some news earlier, some good happy news for the Seahawks. I'm going to break some not happy news for the Seahawks, and that is indicators were Devin Witherspoon was going to sit up and play, and he is out, as well as Jamal Adams. They're both out of the secondary. So
Kobe Bryant. Give me number 8 on the outside and the inside.
Which means I'm going to eliminate our key number 1, and we're just going to have 4 keys to success for this game. Let's see if they're able to get it done, so to speak. All right, moving on. I guess with wide receivers, I didn't say mine. I am not as high on DK Metcalf as I have been in the past. I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze, so to speak. He brings a lot of baggage and not enough talent to back it up. He has a lot of potential, but for every 70-yard touchdown that he gets, he's going to drop 3 balls. And they may not be using him properly. I know we have some issues with that on this coaching staff. But stock is down with DK Metcalf for me personally. With that said, even if I was still high on him, I probably would still take the Eagles in this matchup. So I'm going with the Eagles with the wide receiver room. How about tight ends?
Well, Dallas Goedert's a talented tight end. We know that Philly knows how to use tight ends. They've always had a good tight end pretty much every year that I've watched football. More recently with guys like Zach Ertz and, of course, Dallas Goedert. But I just can't get over how complete of a tight end room we have. And it's unfortunate that we haven't been able to utilize it as well as we should have this season, because who knows how many of those guys are going to be back next year. Two of them have contracts up at the end of the season, Colby Parkinson and, of course, Noah Fant. But we have the best tight end room in the NFL. I don't think that's debatable. No, we don't have a top tier number 1, even though I think Noah Fant and any other offense could absolutely be that. Certainly, we've seen Disley have moments of brilliance, whether in the blocking game or as a receiver. Same can be said for Colby Parkinson. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to get, long story short, I'm giving it to the Seahawks because, again, we have the most complete tight end room in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm giving it to the Seahawks as well. Let's see if they're used properly. That's been the issue all season long, is we're not utilizing our tight ends to their strengths and the ways that best help this offense. That's 100% on coaching staff, not on the tight ends themselves. So I'm giving this to the Seahawks. Offensive line.
Almost gave it a push, this one, because this is the first time I think all year that the Seahawks literally have a completely healthy offensive line unit. Up and down the line, everyone is good to go this game. Phil Haynes, Damian Lewis, Evan Brown, both of our tackles. I mean, we've got everybody. We should be able to play really, really well in this game on that offensive line. We've got the guys for it. It's going to be a big test because we know how dangerous that defensive line is for the Eagles. But I have to give this to the Eagles because, again, they have shown week in and week out, it doesn't matter who they have in that lineup. All of their guys can compete and play really, really well. And they've got a freaking great offensive line.
Yeah, I'm giving this to the Eagles. You say we have a healthy offensive line so that we have a chance. I say, is Phil Haynes still starting on that offensive line? Then we don't have a chance. I haven't liked what I've seen. I didn't like what I saw last year. I don't know why they brought him back or how they brought him back. I think it was more, we've seen growth out of this player. Let's reward him, give him the opportunity. And hopefully he's able to overcome whatever is keeping him down this year and can have success going forward. I never wish ill on a player. But with that said, I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line. How about their defensive line? You just mentioned how stout they are. How do you look at this?
I love the personnel we have on our defensive line in Seattle. I love the addition of Leonard Williams, but I have not seen us put together a really good defensive work. Jaron Reed obviously is the Renaissance man this year. I love our defensive line. I do. I don't want to take anything away from what they've been able to accomplish this year, especially as individuals, but as a unit, they are not on the same level as the Eagles defensive line. Whether you're talking, I mean, I know we'll talk about linebackers in a second, but I do kind of think we have similar schemes in that we use linebackers a lot in the rushing game, the pass rush game, just like the Eagles do. That Eagles defensive line may not have all the stats that some of the other ones, whether it's the Cowboys or the San Francisco 49ers do. But as far as complete units, that defensive line is second to none.
Yeah, I'm with you. I gave it to the Eagles as well. We're running kind of long, so I'm not going to give a lengthy description. They have a great line. I'm just going to leave it at that. All right, linebacking core.
Well, this one was tough for me. It was really, really tough for me because I stand by what I said, that there isn't a better inside linebacker unit in the league that can sniff Bobby Wagner and Jordan Brooks, and they're both playing this game. But I've got to give this one. You know what? I'm going to stick by my word. I'm going to say this one's a push. I know without Nwosu, we're a little bit thin on that outside linebacker core, but I think when they're used correctly, Boye Mafe and Darrell Taylor are a formidable pass rushing unit. Obviously, we can blitz really well with either of those inside guys, whether it's Brooks or Wagner. I'm going to say push. It's close, but I'm going to give it a push.
I'm going to say Seahawks. Right? I like Brooks and Wagner. I like what they bring to the table, and they uplift those other guys. Boye Mafe's playing well, even though he's kind of had a drop off since his just meteoric start to the season. But a lot of that comes with now teams are focusing on him with Nwosu out for the year. So, but with that, we basically have 3 guys in our 4 linebackers, and the Eagles have 2 in their 3 linebacking core. So I'm going to take our 3 over there too. Though a lot of that stems from our middle backers are just a great tandem. Defensive backs. With that news that I just broke, how do you see this defensive back?
I think it was. I would have given this one cleared away to the Seahawks beforehand. I'm still going to give it to the Seahawks because, again, I do not think the Seahawks have ever had a secondary this talented. Yes, we've had better units in the past. The Legion of Boom, of course, being the premier, but I still think this is an insanely talented backfield. I obviously Tyreek Woolen hasn't had the year that he had as a rookie. He's been struggling a little bit. I'm hoping that he can turn around this game. I'd love to see him get a takeaway and run it back for a touchdown. We know if he gets the ball in his hand, he is a dangerous man. I know that Kobe Bryant's now going to be. I don't know if he's not listed as a starter. Obviously, Julian Love is still technically the starter out there, but I think we're going to see plenty of my boy Kobe Bryant. I'd love to see number 8 get involved, use that peanut punch that he's utilized so well in the past, get a turnover. I love the fact that we're going to get to see more of him in this game, or at least fingers crossed we're going to get to see more of him in this game. Mike Jackson was able to step in for Devin Witherspoon last week and put on a pretty good show. So I'm not really scared about what we're looking like on the outside. And yeah, even without Jamal Adams, I still think this is a formidable safety group. I'm going to give this one to the Seahawks.
Yeah, and to expand on your point, Mike Jackson came in and was the highest graded member of Seattle's secondary for the game against 49ers. He really stepped up. So shout out to him. I know we talked about it in our game recap. My note on this coming into this show was I'm going to give this matchup to the Seahawks with the caveat that Darius Slay is out for the Eagles. So that just boosts the Seahawks even more because the Seahawks as a secondary are underperforming. Then if we would have got news that Jamal Adams was out, I would have boosted the Seahawks even more because he has not been good when he's on the field. And so having other players in there, and it's not just, okay, that player's playing better than Jamal Adams, right? If you take a lens through a microscope, that's what it looks like. But when Jamal Adams isn't there, we're not trying to do things that old Jamal Adams could do. So now they'll probably call plays that are more designed for safeties to help out over the top, maybe not bringing safeties down to rush out of the box as much. So we might have a more balanced defensive play call when we're not trying to hide Jamal Adams in coverage like we have been lately, because, I mean, he's been pretty bad in coverage lately. But with the news that Devin Witherspoon will not be suited up for this game and will not be available, I know Mike Jackson played well. Tariq Woolen is having a down year. We're going to have unknowns at that other safety. I mean, even with Jamal Adams in there, we knew what we were getting, which this season is not much, but we knew what we were going to see. I'm going to give this to Philadelphia just because there's too many unknowns with Seattle secondary at the moment.
Fair enough.
All right. Looking into this, what is your prediction and final thoughts for this game?
I'm going to kind of, my prediction and my final thoughts. We'll go all in one. I'm feeling really good right now, and I haven't felt this way for probably a month about my Seahawks. But I think we got a shot today. I think all the news that we've heard is good news, minus Devin Witherspoon being out. But don't forget, this is going to be the return of big play Trey. So I think Trey is going to come in, and he's going to be that second outside guy next to Tariq Woolen. I think he's going to be moving into the slot, and Mike Jackson's going to hold his own on the outside. I'm looking for big play Trey to have a great game. I think this is going to be Kobe Bryant's breakout game. You've heard this breakout game from Kobe Bryant. I'm looking for at least one turnover from Kobe Bryant and another big play, whether that be a fourth down stop or a pass defense. So I'm going to say the Seahawks pull this one out in front of the 12s today. Seattle 23, Philadelphia 19.
Nice. All right. So for me, this I was not very optimistic coming into this. Adam kind of hyped me up a little bit. I'm not going to change my prediction, but I feel like I want to. We'll just get that over. So my prediction, I think the Seahawks are motivated in this game. I think there's a chance they could come out and win this game. You could flip these scores between teams, and it's perfectly possible. But I think Philadelphia essentially ends Seattle's season tonight with a score of 27-18. And I hope I'm wrong. I'm wrong. Let's let the Seahawks come out and get that 27 and hold Philadelphia to 18. I would jump for joy. In fact, that leads me into my final thoughts. I sort of said everything I was going to say earlier when we talked about it's time to put up or shut up for the Seahawks. This is their season, is tonight. Yes, they could lose this game and still have a 30, 40, 50% chance, depending on how the chips fall around the NFL to make the playoffs. But essentially, their season's over. They lose this game, it would be a very Seahawks style to then lose to the Cardinals at the end of the year and be out of it completely.
No.
So I'm going to take some of Adam's optimism. I'm going to say, okay, Seahawks, I have showed you that I don't have faith that you can win this game tonight. Prove me wrong. Please prove me wrong. I have a tradition after Seahawks games where I go smoke either a celebratory or a consolation cigar, depending on what happened in the game. And if it's a win, I go for more of the top shelf, the higher rated cigars. I'm going to treat myself because the Seahawks went out there and did a good job. And that's my way of connecting to them from my couch. I don't smoke in the house, but connecting to them as a fan. But then when they lose, it's almost like I feel like I need to be punished along with the team for a poor performance. And so I go grab something from the bottom of the barrel in my collection, maybe a factory second or something like that. Something that I know is going to have a little bit lower performance, a poor construction, so to speak, because in a way I'm going to punish myself. So what cigar will I be smoking at the end of this game? When it's all said and done, am I going to be grabbing that Oliva Series V, a Milanio, right, and just enjoying myself to a high 90s plus rated cigar? Or am I going to be grabbing that factory second, which is probably going to hot run on me or ash 47 times and just make me mad? I don't know. We'll see. I'll let you guys know in the recap show. This has been the Let's Talk Seahawks, the podcast for fans like you. We love doing this. We're here each week to be a fan with you and just kind of vent. And the way we look at this show is we're basically the guys around the water cooler at work, right? Sharing a beer in your man cave. That's really what this podcast is all about. So please, if you want to come on, if you want to join us, reach out. You can reach us on Twitter at LT Seahawks Pod. Hit us up. We'd love to have you on as a guest. For those of you in the audio world, you are more than welcome to come on the show as well. Same thing, reach out to us and we'll start a dialogue. Once again, thank you for listening to Let's Talk Seahawks. And as always, go Hawks.
Go Hawks.